Hello, everyone. Corey here, coming in to do the energy update. I feel like it's like slash slash monthly slash new moon slash weekend. Um, but it is this is actually the energy update for July. So this is the energy update for July 2024. It feels like it has some real chaotic energy, and it feels like we're trying to squeeze everything into a short period of time. And life may have felt like that for you. Felt like maybe you have been trying to squeeze everything of life in all at once, like trying to fit everything in, trying to be everything, trying to do everything, all in like a short span within life, and not really giving yourself the opportunity to see that we have that we can take our time, that we can slow down, that we can breathe into ourselves, that we can take the time, the rest, the pause, whatever it is that we need, and to be able to breathe in and really truly sit in the pause of what it is, to really allow ourselves the space to know that we can breathe back out. It's not like when we hold our breath and we count and we just get in that panic mode of our breath is being held. We have the choice to breathe out, right? So when we breathe into ourselves, is that we breathe in to find that center of self. And we pause there for 3 seconds, we pause there for a moment, is that then we know that we're going to breathe back out. And the breath back out is natural. It is going to happen with or without you, because you just can't hold your breath that long without eventually having to breathe. Well, that is where life is right now, is that we can be in a pause, we can be in a rest, we can, step back, but eventually life is going to push us back out, or it's going to push us into the direction we're meant to go and the way it's meant to take us. And sometimes we don't realize that the challenges that we're meeting are the opportunities to be able to really look at life and to be able to release the things that are not serving us. It's important to be able to see that sometimes that person who really truly revealed their truth to you, and you got to see, their, who they truly are with their mask off, is not being revealed to you to cause you more chaos and hurt inside of yourself. It's actually there to be your saving grace. And so sometimes those experiences in our lives are our saving grace moments. They're the moments that remove from our lives the things that are things and people who are not really meant to be in our lives, but that we're so determined to keep in our lives. Some people are meant to be in your life for moments and for experiences, and not for a lifetime. And that's how it works. And so sometimes when we're, it's like, oh, that's my soulmate. It's a soul connection. And sometimes you make that soul to soul connection so that you can step into the experience that provides what you need in that experience, that moment. And then it is time to release it. And then you're being released from that connection. And then you move on again. And so we are experiencing a lot of that. And of course, we have a few retrogrades that are in place right now that are happening with the alignment of the planets. And one of them being Saturn. And Saturn's not just going to be in retrograde in July, it's following us all the way till November. But we also have the beauty of, I think it's Sirius that is aligned to the sun right now. And Sirius really truly does bring us into that beautiful sunshine experience. It brings us into the beauty and the awe of the intuitive self, of the mystical, magical within us. And that this has a lot of mystical, magical energy that that is working on our behalf as well. So if we stay in our sense of our misery and not allow ourselves um, to move beyond that, or to see the possibility of what's beyond, sometimes we're getting trapped. So there is that energy. Now I am feeling a sense of exhaustion as I'm even trying to speak this. So that anxiousness, like I'm trying to catch my breath. I feel like I'm running a marathon. I feel like this feels like a marathon energy that I'm in. I'm getting overheated. I'm getting hot. I feel the big healing coming in with this, but I'm also feeling this sense of angst, anxiety, panic. So you may feel that panic, as I just spoke about in the very beginning. You may feel like I have to rush. And that's because you're feeling the energy. So it's not the energy that's within us. Get out of your head. Don't let your mind play tricks on you. Don't let your mind take you on into places and experiences that you don't need to go. And if you don't have the energy for it, or if you're not, and it's not in alignment, it will not work for you. It's the same thing as looking into somebody else or trying to be somebody else to get to your destiny. All you're going to do is end up in somebody else's. And the more you look into the reflection of someone else and try to cultivate and create their words, their life, you're just going to become somebody else and you're not going to be you. And how many more times in your life do you want to be somebody else? Think about it. And so there is this anxious energy that is communicating and speaking through this time that we are. So July, man, July. So July holds some big, powerful punches, and it's going to be, and it's already started out, that it's going to have some big, powerful punches, and some are not pretty, and some are going to reveal some really strong truth, and others are absolutely incredible. And so everyone is experiencing this differently in different times, in different ways. So this is not all about one person. So I'm seeing like the big fireworks kind of energy. And it's like, so the colors, the energy is going everywhere. It's, it's like, so if you're someone who don't like surprises and you don't like being disorganized and you like everything to be the way you want it to be and you're very controlling, then you're really going to feel the impact of July. You're really going to feel it. If you're someone who wants to be fast paced and go, and everything seems to be stepping you up and trying to get you to slow down, take a breath, and pay attention, you're really going to be feeling this in July. You're going to be really feeling it. You may feel the agitation, the irritation. You're going to be kind of angry. You may be feeling, not you're going to, you may feel the anger. You may feel the frustration. You may feel like you're being defeated. You may feel like someone's closing doors on you. But the universe has a greater plan than any plan that you could possibly have in your head. So as long as you're trapped and stuck in what's in your head, is that you also have to remember that's also where the enemy exists. The biggest enemy we have is within our head and within our thoughts, within our own mind, and we create it. And it's the one thing that keeps us the farthest away from our truth because we live in the persona of creating. But it's also where we go to really tap into our addictive behaviors, our isms. It's all created in the mind's ability to be able to create, the mind's ability to be able to self sabotage, to self destruct, to self destroy. So there is self destructive energy that is coming in, or it's destructive energy that's coming in, and it's destructive to break away the old, but it doesn't have to be self destructive. The self destructive is what starts in the mind, and really truly being able to finally say the things that you need to say, speak the things you need to be able to speak so that you can set yourself free, feels very destructive, but it really truly helps so that you're no longer self-destroying yourself. And that's given, and all that opportunity is in this energy. So as difficult as it feels to be able to speak a truth, to say what you need to say, this is prime opportunity and great energy to be able to do it. And does it leave hurt? Yes. Does it leave you feeling like a trap? Sometimes, yes. But those who really love, those who really support, those who really stand by you, they're going to move with you, and they're going to grow with you. They're going to evolve, and their path is going to say, you can walk beside me. I'm happy to have you walk beside me. I'm happy to see you grow. I'm happy to see you evolve. And those who then can't, is not that there's something wrong, is that maybe it's time to have that break away, to break free from that other person or that other energy so that you can grow apart. And when you do grow apart, sometimes you grow back together. So there's a lot of relationship shit in here, a lot of relationship stuff. And July is often the time of weddings. So this year, the energy is also the time of when you may um, see choosing to marry your soul versus instead of marrying a shadow of somebody else, right? And so we so dance with the shadows. God, we so dance with the shadows. I'm like, where do they want to go with this? Because there's such a shadow aspect to this that is so everywhere, and the light is being revealed on the shadows. It's really shining light on the shadow aspects of life. Then Saturn really truly does represent that self-reflection, how we see ourselves. So here's one. So we see ourselves as as, self-importance, like, oh, I have to get my stuff out there because everybody's lives are going to be changed by my work. Here we go. So everybody's lives are going to be changed by my work. If everyone can just hear my work, read my book, see my stuff, everyone's lives are going to be changed. And, be enthusiastic, stay confident in that, but release the thought that there's only one person, that you're the only one person who can be that powerful in this world to bring that kind of change. Because that means you're motivating yourself from your own fear stories and your own egoic confident self, and not your true innate self. There's there's so many of us. There's so many of us that do this work. There's so many of us that work in this industry. There's so many of us that write books. There's so many self-help books and spiritual books. And there's so many of us that create oracle cards. There's so many of us. And we're not the onlys. We're not the only one. We're not I might be the best in a circle of a group. Somebody else may be a best in their circle. And there's always going to be the little group that fluffs our little feathers and makes us feel good about ourselves. But in all reality, is we're not there for everyone. Not everyone's going to like us. Not everyone's going to want anything to do with you. Most people may never even hear of who you are. And so sometimes when you get out of your circle and you really open up and you really let the world, in, you step into a bigger world, you find out that you're the little fish, you're a little pea in the pod. And that sometimes that sense of being able to see the negative or hear the negative, or to really be humbled by, not see or hear the negative, let's change that, to be humbled by the reality of the world outside of the circle of where you stay, to stay comfortable in being loved and liked, and you move outside of there into the world of being a nobody to a lot of people, and there's a humbling that comes with that, and that is where your true nugget of truth exists. And it's because it's in the power of humility and humbleness, and to be able to exist in there, to know that experience and not to run from the humility of the moment of the experience, is the thing that brings us closest to existing and getting that much closer to getting in alignment to our divine purpose. And that speaks to us speaking to us very much in this energy and in this time. And I always chuckle at this, and it always makes me chuckle, because I see this in so many places. How do we know it? It's because we all have a little glimpse, a little moment of feeling that sense of creating our narrative and our story in our own little self-importance little journey that we step into. So this Saturn really has some real humbling it has some humility and some humbling moments in it, but it also has a moment for us to be able to rise with integrity and truth, and knowing exactly who we are, and that we are all a part of something more beautiful and something spectacular. And no matter what that is that it requires us to be in a true, authentic relationship with our soul, with our deepest truth, with our divine, and to be able to know that there's always someone that's just maybe doing better than us, succeeding differently, but nobody can open your door to your future but you. And when you can really sit back and breathe into you, you can really discover something so powerful, but knowing that you don't have to keep trying to hold your breath. You don't have to get out and start rushing and panicking. Sometimes the most beautiful thing is sit down and just let the shadows dance. Let the shadows dance. Let them sing. Let them yell. Let them scream. And then when everyone and everything exhausts itself, stand up. And that's on a big scale. And then bring it back into ourselves, bring it into your relationships. If everyone around you is all screaming and yelling and all got an opinion, all got something to say, sometimes if you just sit down, wait, listen until everyone has exhausted themselves, then stand up and then speak, You don't have to scream. You don't have to scream. You don't have to worry about trying to scream out what you need to say. You don't have to try to fight your way to the front of the line. You don't have to worry about trying to be seen in a crowd. It's when everything else crumbles, everything else goes silent, stand up. And that's really coming up in this energy. So we're seeing this in nature. We see this in all things. That when a volcano erupts, so it coats over everything that is beautiful, right? It just the hot lava just goes over everything that is beautiful. And if you get out there and you keep trying to fight the lava, try to push it back, you can't. It's gonna go. So sometimes you just got to get out of its way and just let the lava go. And then in divine timing, when everything cools, everything settles, that eventually through that lava, through the cracks in the lava, will peek up a new tree, a new flower, and new life begins. New moments, new opportunities, new land begins to develop again. And that's how it goes, right? And that's how it goes. And so here we are in such a powerful time. And it just feels like the ego, the shadow, the hungry ghost, whatever we want to call this energy, is really truly giving the illusion of leap, jump, leap, jump, leap, jump, go, 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 because there's an anxious anxiety to it of being, I gotta prove myself, I gotta be a somebody, or I gotta be in this relationship, or I gotta make this happen. But if we could sit back and we have the tough conversations, we do the things that we really need to do and face outside of our little comfort zones and get out of the comfort zones and really be able to speak outside that comfort zone, be able to be seen, let ourselves be outside that comfort zone to discover that new truth, that this unknown territory will kind of give us the opportunity to have what we need so that when all else settles and it's time to rise back up, true life comes. True life. What did I want? True life. So true sense of self is what breaks through and stands, and it becomes almost like effortless. And so it leads us into living a more effortless, more fluid, more flowing, more clarity, a sense of divine journey. And it begins this fact of being able to move into a divine journey. When we have something to say, oh, that was so divine. That was so divine. That was so beautiful. It was so powerful. It was so magical. Ah, and it makes you want to melt into it. That then is remembered. That's remembered. And it's remembered for all the right reasons. And it attracts all the right things. And it brings us to all the right place. So July does bring us into that, being able to settle in, sit back, embody, embrace, let ourselves be, and become more and more of this sense of self that is waiting to emerge when all the ashes settle. There's a sense of the self that will break through the seeds that we are planting, that when we have these volcanic eruptions, when we have all of this energy, and when we be able to let everything settle, is what breaks through. So the breakthroughs, the breakouts, the comebacks, the stand up, the walk into, is all in the possibility of what is unfolding and what we allow ourselves to be caught up in right now. And so because we're feeling it, because we're existing in it, it doesn't mean that we have to become a bigger part. And this message feels so all over the place today. And so it isn't all over the place. It is kind of like all over the place. And so it's bringing me here, it's bringing me there, it's going there. And so there is, and it can be so irritating. And I want so bad to kind of try to bring it together and create this perfect little message, but it's not there. It's not there. And I have to trust the process, because I can never move beyond what it is that they're giving me, because that's how the channeling works. And so channeling this through and getting into it, and letting myself be a part of this moving energy as it's moving, is a bit of that's humility. That's the humbleness, is that, uh, that's what I'm talking about, is that, it can appear to be so, um, disorganized, as if I don't know what I'm talking about, as if I I'm just putting out hot mess work, but it's something greater than that. And it takes a lot of courage to be authentic. It takes a lot of courage not to edit out your flaws, to edit what appears to be flaws, to edit it to perfection, to create the perfect little image, to go without the perfect little image, to not worry about your lighting and everything else. It takes more courage, especially after this many years of doing this, to keep staying in the truth instead of trying to create the illusion of a truth. And that's a big part of what I've recognized within my own self, is that every time I try to even create and cultivate from that perfection, nothing works out. It'll have no sound, it'll be the video won't record properly. It's crazy how it works. But to be in the authentic and never ever to feel the need to look into somebody else and to try to to create a through somebody else's image of, oh my god, I got to do better, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. It never leaves me being motivated by fear or insecurities, because if it's fears and insecurities that are motivating you, you'll be living in somebody else's life and not your own. And so this is the authenticity of it. And this is what July's energy is. July's energy is filled with authenticity. It is scattered, it's chaotic, it's messy, it's not pretty, it's not all organized. It has the good, bad, and the ugly. It has the divine light. It has the kind of the darkness. It holds the darkness. And it also holds so it holds the good, bad, and the ugly. And so then it holds the little monster inside of ourselves that is not as dark as the darkness that is outside of ourselves that tries to put the corruption into the mind. And so it has the ability to create more corruption, create more damage, but it also has the possibility to bring in a lot of powerful, beautiful light and change. And it's magical. It's mystical. There's a real mystical, magical energy that is in this month, and it's like, don't let yourself miss it. Don't miss out on the light show. Don't miss out on the highlights of it. Don't miss out on the fireworks. Don't be so busy trying to run around trying to put the pieces in place that you actually miss out on on this energy, because it is that powerful, and it is this beautiful, and we may not see this kind of energy again for a while, because this energy that we have in July is one of the biggest parts of the biggest shift that we will experience, and the biggest ending of it will be in November. And in November, we're going to see the absolute biggest of the biggest shifts and changes really finally take place. And it's the turnaround, it's the comeback, it's it's all those things. But don't feel like you have to, step over somebody's head. Don't feel like you got to scream in the crowd. Stay back. Like, just sit down, just stay over here, take the high road, whatever it is. Get outside of that comfort zone and move beyond all that has been guided and influencing our lives from the shadow, uh, from the imposter light, from the imitation, and really start to see the difference between imitation light and true light. Imitation light will always have some deception to it. It'll always be, kind of, it's like when people come into your life to kind of get something from you, but make it appear as if they're giving you something, but they're there to take from you, right? And so that's the same thing. Or they come in and they fluff your feathers and they tell you how great you are and you're so great, but they're not coming in to be your friend. They're coming in to basically destroy your light. That's real shit. And it don't just happen in the playgrounds in school. It happens in adulthood, because the hurt little kid in the school is still in the playground and still looking at the faces of the little children and not allowing, they haven't emotionally, spiritually evolved. beyond that time. And so still behaving that way, still holding on to that. There is, like I said, it has a power of master manipulator energy that does exist and it exists all the time, but it very much ties into um, kind of more into, it's like kind of like wringing out the cloth, right? It's like, it's kind of like revealing itself. It's existing in here so it can reveal itself so that we stop kind of tricking and fooling ourselves into thinking we got to keep living by a lot of the old ways and that we got to keep being fooled by that imitation. And when we finally can say to ourselves, you know what, I'm done being fooled. I'm done just accepting that I need to accept this. A huge part of what I always say for myself is I, because I can see spirit, because I can see beyond, is that sometimes I just accept. Often I'm just accepting what people are telling me. And even though I can see that it's not true or see another side of it, is that I still just let them have their human experience because it's not mine to change. It's theirs to change, it's theirs to heal, it's theirs to discover. And but I also have to be very aware when I have to put the brakes on and I have to really deflect away or I have to break away from those beats from a person or an energy, not a person so per se, but from an energy and just say, no, no, because I'm not here to go any further in this. I can see this, and if it's revealing itself to me and it's showing itself to me, sometimes it's revealing itself for a good reason. Other times, it's many people don't even know they have it. Many people don't know what exists inside themselves because they don't spend enough time with themselves to realize that we have that good, bad, and the ugly in us, and or they just that that fear story is just so great, and so they can't see it, and I can see it, and because I can see it and I know it's there, I don't want to poke the bear to bring it up, but I can, that light that you give, that love that you give can help inspire someone to get to the right person, to get to the right light within themselves, the right truth, the right side of themselves, so that they can then see it for themselves for what it really is. And then they're not using it as the power, because power in the wrong hands can be dangerous. Remember that. And so if we activate all of that power within ourselves, it can be used for the highest good, or it can be used um for danger. It can be used for to bring on, it can bring danger into somebody else's life. It's the only word they're giving me: danger, danger, danger. And we see it on a big scale. We see it on a big scale. And that's coming up all the way around us. So those are some things of July. And I know they're scattered. And so it may be the season of where you let yourself be a little more scattered, you let things be messy. It may be where you just got to throw everything up into the air and just see what lands face up and face down, right? And just picking up the pieces of only what aligns and not taking it all back in. So there's a lot of fragmented energy. Keep getting explosions, explosions, explosions. And I don't know what these big explosions are, but I keep getting explosions, explosions, explosions. So on an energy level, on a deeper level, I feel like we're going to experience some big explosions. Now, I don't know what it looks like yet, but it does not feel like it's coming from a good place. It feels like it feels like a bubbling over, like rage, anger type of thing, but explosions, explosions, explosions. So bringing it into us, it can be explosion of candies and cotton. It could be um, candies and what? What can I use? Uh, Candies and bubblegum. I don't know. It can be sweet, right? It can be a sweet explosion. It can be a love explosion. But it can also be a deception. It can be betrayal. And sometimes these explosions, if they're if they feel really negative, is that they may be so that it reveals the truth, that there's a deeper truth hidden inside and the treasure is hidden inside of there. But on a big scale, on a world scale, I feel like we're seeing something very big. I don't know what it all looks like yet, but it is there. And so our next few months, moving us all the way through summer, moving us into fall, I feel like, our big breath, that we'd be able to take the big, big breath is excuse me, is actually happening in November. And so we just and it's a slow and steady, um, wins the race, right? It's just like we don't have to let our fear stories be what pushes us forward. It's now to be guided by faith, to be moved by faith, to be moved by the power of the divine, to be moved by the light, to be moved through into a new time within ourselves, a new energy within ourselves. And yeah, I don't know. There's just so much more that goes with this month. We do have another new moon, we have a new moon coming up on the 5th, and that new moon is in Capricorn. So this is our second Capricorn new moon. And this new moon does come with some, I don't know, it feels kind of fluffy. There's some fluffiness with this new moon. This new moon does have um some real kind of sensibility to it. It has so it makes me smile. So there is some real good possibility with this. Somebody may be popping into your life. You may have that sudden person who stops in to visit. You may hear from someone who you've cared about and you haven't heard from in a long time. You may get some really good news. You may finally get a message you have been waiting for, or you may be seen as, for your work or whatever it is, but something just feels like it does have a little bit of a magic to it. It also has some logical practical coming in, and so that's happening on the 5th. And that new moon usually begins about now and a couple days after that's happening, usually a few days after. Um, and then as we move through the month, I feel like there's this stretchy energy in the middle of the month. And so the middle of July, I feel like it's like when you pull a string tight and then it starts to loosen. It loosens on its own. It just loses that tightness. And so what has been restricting us and holding us, I feel like there's some loosening. So it feels like the energy begins to loosen in the middle of the month and then it tightens again. So we have a loosening of the energy. It feels like we just kind of get to relax a little bit, kind of loosen up, and then it tightens again. But there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat. I'm feeling a lot of heat. I'm seeing a lot of heat. It feels like there's a lot of really hot energy. So we may be running into a really hot temperatures, like heat wave kind of temperatures, kind of like a consistency of them. And I think that's going to run into August as well. I don't think that's going to end for a while. I think it's a really good time to turn off your freaking TVs and go outside. It is lots of fresh air. You may find that a lot of people may be reaching out to visit you, to do things with you, and it's because the collective energy of not letting ourselves be divided and have so many gaps and spaces in between, but for us to be able to come together, a lot of kind of coming together, reconnections happening, moving back into in person, more in person stuff, more relationships that are in person. Now, the online is going to always continue, of course, that's not ending, but just reaching out, really getting to that. So you may find yourself in the next coming in over the summer months, like find yourself being with people you haven't seen in a very long time. And it's not that all these people are coming into your life to stay in your life. It's just making a, like a zap, right? It's like a quick connection so we don't forget each other and then leave again. And that's what it's like. It's not everyone's coming in to stay, but it's just making those connections. And then you find out, oh, that's why I don't want to be around that person. Oh, that's why. So some of you may experience somebody entering into your life of the past that comes in with all of the great memories and trying to get you to spark an old interest of, oh, remember our good times, remember this, remember that. But you also have to remember why they're not in your life. You also have to remember that you're not the person who was in that moment, in that relationship. So it's a bit of a heads up to remember you're not the same person. You're a different version of yourself. And so the spark is just called a memory. And it's not there for a permanent, it's not there for a connection. It's not there to self-destruct everything that you have created in your life now. So there is temptation. And that in all of these sparks and all of these connections and all of these reconnections is that there may be the possibility of a temptation. See it as a temptation. See it as the fact that it's not always that there is a real true connection. And if you let it follow itself all the way through, you will find out what it really is. And so be aware of those kind of energies that pop up, because it's like pop rock. We got a lot of pop rock energy. So it can feel very exciting in the moment, but it's going to fizzle really fucking fast. So be very careful of what pops up. And it's like an excitement. It's like an adrenaline rush, but it's because it's going to fizzle really, really fast. And so it's the same thing when you rush yourself into anything, when you try to make something happen and you get all into it, and it could have that fizzle really, really fast. So be aware of those experiences, those moments as we move through to July. So July it can be exhausting, it can be tiring if you overdo it, if you over push, if you overextend yourself. August will be not much different. And so know that a lot of times you don't have to put a lot of effort into making a lot of things happen. You just got to get out of the way. So it's a great time to get the fuck out of your way, to get out of the way, to get out of the way of the divine, to let go of control and let the universe move you and let the universe move mountains for you on your behalf so that when it's time, you are able to have a clear path, clear direction moving forward. So there's your hot mess energy update for July. Uh, I hope this resonates with you in some way, but it is the way to our freedom and our liberation, and to move beyond our victim stories, and to move beyond the victimization of of holding others to stories. It holds the key to our freedom, and it really truly allows us to be able to move ahead and move forward and into the essence of the power of grace. And when we allow the voice of grace to appear, we show ourselves mercy. And when we show ourselves and others mercy, we set each other free. And when we set ourselves free and set everyone else free of the high expectations and that overloaded energy and the way of the past, and we let ourselves move into if you can step into the mind of the beauty of creativity, it just has such the beautiful energy of just let it be, just let it be, um, and embrace and enjoy whatever it is that is coming in this colorful energy. So that's what I got for you. Don't know if it makes sense, may not make sense, but thanks for staying through the whole thing, because you just set in the power of the divine. You just sit with spirit, you set with light, you set with love for what is it, the last almost 40 minutes that you have been sitting here, and it has been filling your body, filling your heart full of the healing love and light that is needed to help clear the things that need to be cleared within our hearts, within our minds, within our body, within our own aura, and through the universe. So I send you much love. Thank you for being here, and hope to see you again soon. You can listen to more of my work, purchase my books, buy my oracle cards, go to my website, go to CorrieThorne-Cameron.com. And you can also, there's also in the section below where you can donate to this work so that I can continue to do this work that I do by sending out these messages each and every week and month, and every moon, every time that comes up. Have a beautiful month of July. Much love. Bye bye.